Hi kids, it's Stacy, one of the children's librarians here at the Worcester Public Library. Before we get started on today's STEM Saturday, I just wanted to remind you, you still have about a week to finish up your summer reading. So if you've been reading all summer and you just haven't had a chance to log it, you still have a little bit of time to do that. So go ahead and do that. Today we are going to be exploring Jack and the Beanstalk. So two books that I wanted to highlight really quick are this one, Jack and the Beanstalk by Nina Cruz. I like this one because it's actually photographs. So as you read through, instead of illustrations, she uses photographs in her work. It's kind of a little different take on the story. And then another book I wanted to highlight is Jack and the Bloody Beanstalk. So this one's cool because as we go through our stories, if you find that you do actually prefer the more gory, creepy versions of these fairy tales instead of the lighter ones, this is a fun series. It's called Scary Tales Retold. There's a few different ones in the series, and they're definitely more scary than some of the ones we've been reading. In addition to this, they have titles like Goldilocks and the Three Ghosts, or The Princess and the Poison Pea. So if you get a chance, definitely check those out. And we'll get started on Jack and the Beanstalk. Today I'm going to be using Mary Englebright's 5-minute fairy tales again to be reading Jack and the Beanstalk. And I'm reading this with permission from HarperCollins. So if you've been following along with the STEM Saturdays, you may have noticed I've used this book before. I have read Hansel and Gretel from it. I just wanted to point out some of the other great fairy tales in it. Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Aladdin, Snow White, Rumpelstiltskin, Sleeping Beauty, Puss in Boots, and Rapunzel. So here we go, Jack and the Beanstalk. Once there was a noble woman who had fallen on hard times. Her castle had been stolen away by a greedy giant, and she now lived in a cottage with her only son, Jack. He was a lazy boy, always dreaming, never working. Mother and son grew poorer and poorer until they had nothing but a cow. Jack's mother told him to sell the cow for a good price, and he agreed. But do you know what? On the way into town, Jack met a strange little man who gave him 3 magic beans in exchange for the cow. Jack thought his mother would be happy to have beans. After all, they were magic. 3 beans! Jack's mother shouted when he got home. "You foolish boy!" Disgusted, she threw the beans out the window. Now Jack felt sad, and he went straight to bed. But in the morning, when he went to the window, he saw that the magic beans had sprung up into a huge vine. There was nothing to do but to climb it. Higher and higher he climbed, until at last he reached the top of the vine and found himself looking at the castle that was high among the clouds. Jack didn't know it, but this was the very castle that had been stolen from his mother when he was just a baby. When Jack got there, he knocked. A giant woman answered the door. After taking one look at him, she said, "Please, please run away. My husband is a cruel giant." But Jack was exhausted and hungry, so he offered to work for food, and she let him in. As he was finishing up his dinner, there came a deafening roar. Jack hid in the cupboard just as the giant thundered in, bellowing, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smelled the blood of an Englishman." But the giant's wife said, It's the stew you smell." "Humph!" The giant grunted, and he sat down to his giant supper. At last he finished eating, and his wife brought out a golden goose. "Lay!" shouted the giant, and the goose laid an egg of solid gold. The giant amused himself for hours, commanding the goose to lay her golden eggs. Finally, the giant's wife brought out a harp. The giant said, "Play me a drink," and a drink appeared. "Play me a pillow," and a pillow appeared in the giant's chair. "Play music," and the harp played lovely music until, at last, the giant fell asleep. When the giant was snoring loudly, Jack crept out of his hiding place, grabbed the golden goose and the harp, and started to run. But the harp twisted in Jack's grasp and started chiming. "Master! Master!" Jack held tight to the goose and the harp and ran to the beanstalk as fast as he could. But the harp's cries woke the giant. His feet shook the ground as he chased them. The beanstalk trembled with the terrible weight of him. As soon as Jack was safely on the ground, he cut the beanstalk with one swing of his hatchet. The giant fell to the ground and died instantly. Jack gave the golden goose to his mother, who instantly recognized it as her own beloved pet. Then he said to the harp, "Play dinner, please." A grand meal appeared before them. The very next day, Jack asked the harp to play a gown for his mother, a castle to live in, and happiness to last a lifetime. The end. So I hope everyone liked the story. For today's STEM challenge, we're going to be building a slide for Jack. So instead of spending time climbing down the beanstalk, he's going to simply slide down and get home safely. So for this, all that you need is some scissors, some tape, some glue, a little figure that you will be pretending as Jack, and then just whatever kind of paper that you have on hand, whether it's construction paper, old toilet paper rolls, newspaper, printer paper, whatever you want to use. So for building your slide, the only guideline that we have is your slide has to be at least 3 feet long. So you'll want to be able to put your figure down a slide at least 3 feet long, and you will have successfully completed the challenge. Go ahead and test your slide when you're ready. As you can see, Jack did not make it safely down the slide since he fell over the edge before reaching the bottom. So this challenge sounds really easy. It's just paper and building a slide, but it is a little more challenging than you would initially think. Just remember, when you're building your slide, you want to build something that has strong support. So maybe try doing more than one sheet of paper or one toilet paper roll. You want to make sure your sides are high enough or covered so that your figure doesn't fall out, and then retest your project. Now don't get discouraged. This project actually took us several times to complete the challenge, but if you keep trying, you'll be able to build a slide, get Jack safely down the beanstalk. Okay kids, so what did you think? Was that challenge a little bit harder than it sounded? Because it sure was when I was trying it. So I want you to try to join us next Saturday. It's going to be our last STEM Saturday, and we're going to be exploring the Frog Prince. So enjoy your week. Don't forget to finish up your summer reading, and we'll see you soon.